We're a small but mighty cat-loving audience, aren't we? Who loves cats out there? Yeah, I do too. I have a dog right now who will not tolerate cats, and it's a great disappointment to me that I can't have my own cat in the house. I'm Kerri Miller. We have taken Talking Volumes on the road to the Rochester Mayo Civic Center, and it's really good to be here, and we're here with Drew Brockington. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Very excited.
So, we are going to blast off into outer space with some ingenious and adventurous kittens. And I'm thinking about what we're going to need for that, Drew. I think we're going to need some baking soda.
Okay.
Yes?
Check.
Are we going to need some vinegar?
Need some vinegar. Check.
Are we going to need tape?
Lots of tape.
Okay.
Check.
Are we going to need pencils?
At least 3. Check.
Why 3?
Because you have to make a tripod. You have to use these pencils to at least make a tripod. Because I think I know your last 2 items.
Okay, well, yeah, what else do we need?
Like a 2-liter soda bottle.
Okay.
And a cork.
A cork?
A cork. Oh, and some paper towel. 3 items.
Okay. And then we've got our rocket ship?
We can make a rocket ship.
All right. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Drew Brockington has created the Waffles and Pancakes series. 2 very hungry cats who want to fly a rocket ship to other planets. His newest CatStronauts adventure book is called Waffles and Pancake, Failure to Launch. Please welcome Drew to Rochester with a hearty round of applause.
Thank you.
So we're meeting Waffles and Pancakes, a brother and sister, before they are full-fledged CatStronauts, right?
Yes. So it's technically Waffles and Pancake is a prequel to the CatStronauts series. The CatStronauts series is about cat astronauts doing things. Yeah, and they do. Yeah, they do things that cats cannot.
Right.
So this is a kitten adventure about when CatStronaut Waffles was a kitten, and then just all the little adventures that happens to Waffles and his sister Pancake that inspire them to want to become astronauts. So
you went back into the deep backstory of these kittens to say, how did this happen?
Yes.
And what did you come up with?
And it started, that deep backstory starts when they're about, they're kittens. So I was almost going to put an actual age on them, but in this world, cats are only there's only 3 types of ages. There's kitten, cat, and old cat.
Okay.
So these cats are kittens. So they're kittens years old. And then it starts with them going to a museum and seeing the science museum and experiencing the planetarium for the first time, learning about constellations, and them just learning about space. And then it follows the kittens on an airplane for the first time, where they actually experience flight and they get to learn about, the principles of flight and how an airplane stays up. And then that spurs them into this adventure where they are going to watch a space shuttle launch.
Cool.
And,
they get to go to Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral.
Yeah. So you were looking you felt like there was more of the story to tell about their motivation. Like, who are these kittens and why have they ended up in space?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was the idea behind it. But then also, answering that question that every kid gets asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And how do you even start thinking about that? And for me, when I was in 4th grade, there was a speech contest at school about what you want to be when you grow up.
4th grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the first time I really sat down to think about what do I want to do? Because I wanted to enter the speech contest. And I was like, I think I want to be a pilot. And then all of a sudden, I wanted to be a pilot so bad.
You mean as soon as you said it,
As soon as I said
now
it,
it's real.
Now I realized
now
it.
I really want to be a pilot.
I had been on like 2 planes in my life. I loved it. We would go to the air show a couple times, and just like seeing the giant machines that planes were, like at the Science and Industry Museum in Chicago, and they have openings of like what a turbine looks like, and just being like, that it looks so cool. To like 4th grade Drew, I was like, this is awesome. So then I wrote a speech about wanting to be a pilot, and then that year I was looking into like, how do I become a pilot? Where do I need to go? What do I do? And then they told me that, or I learned that you needed 20/20 vision back then.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your face and you're wearing glasses.
Very much a glasses kid.
Do you think that's fair that you need 20/20 vision? I don't.
I don't think it's this.
What the heck?
I think they've changed their regulations, because
Oh,
I
yeah?
have seen pilots with glasses.
I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might have been like a 1990s rule.
Yeah.
But
no fair. Were you crushed? Was your dream
I was crushed. But fortunately for me, I pivoted that next year, 5th grade. My speech was, I want to be a cartoonist. So I pivoted
Are you kidding? This goes back to 5th grade?
Kid you not.
This is real?
Yeah, 5th grade.
Wow.
I was like, well, my backup, I guess, is drawing. And here we are. So.
Not a bad backup. So at beginning in 5th grade, you have really been focused on...
Yeah, laser focused on comics.
Wow.
My friends and I would draw characters. We would make our own comics, and then we'd go act out the stories at recess.
I bet you guys were the most popular guys in school. Who doesn't love somebody acting out their own weird little characters?
Yeah, their own comic book, especially when you have names like I'm Kid Kicker, I'm Flamer, and it's real. It gets real fun.
All right, I'm curious about how you thought about what the personalities of the kittens would be, because if you're going back into their history. Mm-hmm. We're also seeing their personalities, their different characteristics develop. So I want to know how you thought about that.
Yeah, and that was, taking of, okay, who is CatStronaut Waffles going to become?
Yeah.
And really stepping back. And so CatStronaut Waffles is a pilot who's up for anything, and also has to be on his A game at all times. So he is constantly eating mostly tuna fish to keep his energy levels up.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to crash, figuratively and literally. So I was like, okay, where does that begin? And as a kid, my dad would say, like, oh, it's been 2 hours, you better have a snack, So he was a big encourager of like, keep those, run around the house. You need something to do. Just
constant
run.
Grazing.
Constant grazing
okay.
and constant movement too.
Wow.
Just like you've been like, you look bored. Why don't you do a couple laps around the house? And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So that was figured in. But then also when I was writing the books about these kids, just starting their, having these little family adventures, going to museums, going to stuff. And then
kids, you mean kittens?
Kittens,
Yeah.
yes. Wow, yeah, good check, yeah.
Ah.
But for me, it was very convenient because I had kids the same age at home of these kittens.
And they're here.
And they're
I should
here.
say. They're not listening to you at all. They're drawing. Yeah. They've heard all this before.
Yeah.
They're cute.
My kids, Simon and Marcy, were a huge help in like figuring out just how two kittens talk to each other. Like
really?
in kid speak. Oh yeah. Like all their little, like I'm totally that dad, just kind of quietly pretending to work or hang out at the table, and like, but 100% of me is listening in on what they're playing or what kind of adventure they're having together. And this one, in this book in particular, where they're like, let's build a rocket, let's do this, let's do that. And it's always like, I love this about kid plays. It always builds off of each other. It's always yes-anding everything. They're improving before they know what improv comedy is.
Yeah.
And I love that just about like listening to kids play and how it starts as like, let's build a rocket. And then it ends up as like, we went to the moon and it was made of cheese and we needed to melt it. So we flew to the sun and then we melted the cheese. And like these stories just grow crazily on their own merit, just because it's two kids.
Back to the personalities.
Yes.
Though. So you gave us the characteristics of Waffles, I think, right?
Yes.
What about Pancake?
So Pancake is like sometimes she is the foil to Waffles, but also she encourages him.
She's an enabler.
Yeah, she's an enabler.
Right?
And it's
like whatever he wants to do, she thinks is great.
Yes,
sort of.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Or paws down.
Yeah.
And they really are they're BFFs. They have the best sibling relationship
anybody ever saw.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's got a brother knows, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Were you that close to your siblings?
I have two brothers, and we were like, when we were young, we're close now, but we live on different sides of the country. Mm-hmm. But when we were in the same house, we were super tight all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And to the point where I'm probably when they went, because I'm the youngest, so they were in high school, so I was the burden where they would have to pick me up after school or drop me off.
Take you along on stuff. Yeah. Okay, enabler, foil,
yes.
and what else? What else about the characteristics of
teammate is a lot of like buddy. Just in the fact that there is. A couple times they get in one of the stories when they're in the museum, they get lost, and despite having different views on what they should do when they're lost or how it feels to be lost, they're still gonna not leave the other person. They're gonna support the other person. They're gonna be that buddy. And for me, in this Kitten series and also in the CatStronauts, this idea of team and just family, if you want to expand on team, is like such a huge core element to always have that, the back of someone, or you got.
That's important to you?
For sure.
You think that's a kind of a principle that you've...
Yes, if I am able to teach my kids one thing, it's to hopefully it's to help support their friends and their family.
Should we ask them if they believe that? No,
they're in their
how well you're doing with that.
Yeah.
I have a question about, is Waffles an orange tabby cat?
That is wow. Maybe? No. I don't know.
What?
I would
yes,
describe...
maybe no.
I would describe Waffles... I'm thinking about it, and the more I think about it, Waffles I always described as a stripy cat.
As a what?
As
yeah,
just a stripy cat.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's got stripes on his head, but...
But I don't know if I want to get into the specifics of putting a very, name on that.
Why? Orange tabby cats are cool.
Yeah, but I don't want to get in the Garfield. They got the Garfield world, and I don't want to cross those paths.
Garfield. Were you a Garfield fan?
I was a huge Garfield fan.
What'd you like about him?
He likes lasagna. I guess now that I'm saying that subconsciously, there is the fact that these kittens eat tuna fish, so there is this Garfield's uncontrollable urge to eat lasagna is reflected in these Waffles and Pancake being able just to pound tuna fish no problem. So
he was kind of a smart aleck, wasn't Garfield?
Garfield was a very smart aleck,
yeah.
Way more than his owner, John.
That's right.
Yeah, he was always putting John in his place.
That's right. But these kittens don't. I mean, I wouldn't say that they really.
No, they check each other.
Those.
Yeah, they'll check each other. Like when Pancake is the foil to Waffles, she'll be like, "We shouldn't do that," or I don't know, is that a good idea? Yeah, okay, let's do it. But there's always that little bit of should we? Yeah, okay, let's do it.
So Pancake is a white cat, I think.
So Pancake
black
is
stripes?
She is a tan or like light brown cat with black stripes, and Waffles is a cream or white cat with black stripes.
Okay. So, but they're not tabby cats.
No, they're just kittens.
They have square heads, Drew.
They do.
Why?
Because, well, actually, if you look at the whole body of the kitten,
Yes.
it is the shape of a potato. And when I draw these characters, that's the first thing I think of is where am I going to put my cats on the page? I start drawing potatoes, little potato shapes all over the page.
I don't get it. Wait a minute. In what way are they like potatoes?
Like
'Cause they look really just square-headed.
Yeah, they're square-headed, but the whole body is like a potato or a jelly bean, that kind of like lumpy oval shape.
Yeah.
And so when I started drawing these characters, that was like my warm-up, was just kind of drawing the shape, and then I added little Dorito chips on top and added some noodles for arms and legs, and all of a sudden I have a cat. I'm like, this is great.
Do you remember the first time you drew?
I do.
Okay, what was that like?
I was doodling in a sketchbook. I was trying to draw something new every day. And I drew this kitty in a spacesuit eating a bag of kitty treats through their helmet, which is mind-boggling. Like, how do you do
that?
Yeah, do you reach up through and pop, or do you, I don't know. But I drew it, and I looked at it, and I loved it. And then I immediately drew a different cat in a different spacesuit. Mm-hmm. And it was just one of these characters that when I sit down to draw or sketch or doodle, I would, at some point, I just draw a little CatStronaut. And then eventually I was drawing them so much, I was like, I should do a story with these or make a little comic or something like that.
Were their heads the shape that they are now? Were they a square from the very beginning?
From the very beginning. They've always been that like potato. And then, if you just look at that head, it's the top third of a potato. This is good homework. If you have a potato, go home, get a potato, and just add some little Doritos on top and see if it looks like a cat. Hopefully it will.
I don't think they look like potatoes, but okay. But I take your word for that.
Kids are 100% with me.
Are they?
Yeah, when
that
I'm
they
like,
look like
draw
potatoes?
a potato, they're like, oh, yeah,
Really?
cool. Yeah. And then somebody's usually like, I love potatoes. And I was like, I love cats.
Right.
Then,
So they were born basically in a spacesuit.
They were born in,
And that was inevitable because you loved space camp.
Yes.
Is that why?
Well, as a kid, I loved space.
Yeah.
And my brother got to go to space camp as a kid, but I got to go to space camp as an adult.
Right.
So I kind of live vicariously through him when he got to
Do you
go.
remember what he said about it when he came back from space camp?
He said it was like he came back and he was wearing, because if you go to space camp, you can get a flight suit. And so he had his flight suit on when he got off the plane. I think he did, or he put it on at home. But I saw him in that flight suit, and I was like, that is so cool.
How come you didn't get to go?
He sold lemonade all summer and earned enough that he could go himself. Yeah.
Why?
And I did not.
Is this guy running NASA now, or what?
He is actually.
No,
Well, he's not at NASA, but he is an electrical engineer. He's done contract work with NASA, and now he's working for the Department of Energy on on big projects.
Okay, so you go to space camp as an adult.
Yes.
How old were you when you got your shot?
I was 30 years old, 31.
Were there other 31-year-olds there?
And older and younger.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody in our group, because we're the adult group, everybody in our group was, anywhere between mid-20s to like 60-something. So, there's people that were retired there. There was people that worked in sciences. There's I forget his name, but he was a guy who's like, everyone was telling why they're there, and he's like, I just like NASA. And he lived in Alabama, and he would drive out to the Rocket Center, and then he was like, I saw you could come as an adult, and I just wanted to go.
So what'd you do? What was the best thing you did at space camp?
The simulators are so cool because they have like life-size space shuttle simulators, and then they have an International Space Station simulator, and my job was to swap out an oxygen tank on it. So I actually put on a spacesuit, and then they put me on a hoist and rose me up like 40 feet in the air. And then I was dangling for about 30 minutes as I worked with, people are also in mission control, and they're giving you instructions like step by step.
Seriously?
Yeah.
This is as if you're on a spacewalk.
So yeah.
They're talking you through it.
They're talking you through step-by-step instructions on how to swap out this oxygen tank. And that was amazing. And then the other icing on the cake is Space Camp's connected to the Houston Rocket Center, and they have an entire Saturn V rocket in there, and it's all broken out into stages so you can see each booster for the rocket. And we had a tour that was given by the engineer who designed the flight computer in the Saturn V rocket.
Wow.
But this was an analog computer, so it's like pre-digital stuff. It was mind-boggling how that was put together. And he's sharing all these astronaut stories, and I'm just like, I should have brought my notebook. And then as soon as we got done, I went back and like scribbled down as much as I could remember.
Has some of that stuff ended up in the books?
Yeah, some of it has. And some of it is like stored away for like, okay, if we're ever in this situation when someone's running around, then I can like use that as a.
So had you drawn Waffles and Pancake before you went to space camp?
So when I signed up for space camp, like pretty much the same month that I found out that CatStronauts was going to be made into a book.
Okay.
So I had drawn, at this point, the only thing I had drawn was a 12-page story of the CatStronauts.
I just wondered how they might have changed once you went to space camp.
The backgrounds changed dramatically.
The backgrounds, situations they're in?
No, just the design of the artwork, because I got a lot of, at space camp, like you got to sit in the seats behind the space shuttle. You got to sit in a capsule. They have all these different simulators, so you actually get that firsthand experience of just like how many steps and switches and gauges you have to keep track of. And for me, in drawing those things, especially in the CatStronauts series, is I try to keep a truth to all the technology that they're using.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
It's all NASA technology. And some of it gets a little theoretical in some of them, but even those are based off of prototypes of things that they're developing or things that we're trying to put out in the world.
So there isn't a mission. I don't think there's a mission control in this.
Not
book.
in this one, but the space shuttle launch and failure to launch. Yeah, all of that is like me looking at a lot of detailed references of how the launch pad is, how does the space shuttle move down to the launch pad? What is it, all the connections and everything, because it's fueling the boosters and it's cooling the boosters, and the astronauts have a green room in that tower. And so what is that related, and what hoses and what things will, retract for launch? So all of that I like to keep based in reality.
So if we see mission control in the books, that's what mission control looks like.
In the books is based off of the Apollo mission control, which has a few banks of computers. I think I put an aisle down the middle, and then that screen. And I might have taken some liberty by adding some bonus screens to the side. So one of the things I love to do is like sneak in little background jokes.
Like what?
So
give me an
like
example.
In Mission Control, you have the progress of the CatStronauts' journey to the moon, and then on one of the side screens is like somebody's playing Pac-Man or Catman or Mario or something like that, or they're doing like a crossword puzzle or something. So just something that if you're reading this graphic novel, I want your eye to kind of like look around and find these little hidden details and these little jokes everywhere.
A couple questions about you as a kid. Did you have a cat growing up?
I didn't. I'm allergic to cats. So,
What?
yeah.
This is
Scary.
not something I knew about you.
Yeah.
You're alert. So what happens when you're near a cat?
I get all, you get the old puffy eyes and can't really breathe and have to leave the room or sleep with the window open.
And you've had those allergies since you were a kid?
Yeah, I would get allergy shots once a week, and my dad would get them too, and he would call it dad and lad time. So every Saturday morning, it was dad and lad time, and we get our allergy shots. And we had to get them too because my grandma had cats. So this is where I got my
Okay,
cat
that's what I
experience.
wondered. Yeah.
Yeah, we would play at her house, and she had like 5 or 6 cats. They're inside outside cats, and they were just like we'd chase them around the woods or we'd hanging out inside, and one would just kind of like walk behind you and just walk all over you and everything. So yeah.
Did they like being chased through the woods? No.
I mean, we love chasing them.
Yeah,
I don't know if
cats
they
don't
liked
usually
it.
love to be chased.
Yeah.
Right. And so you also mentioned graphic novels, and I'm curious about what was. I don't remember so many graphic novels when I was, becoming a reader.
Yeah.
What was out there for you?
When I was becoming a reader?
Yeah. And an artist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I read a lot of comics as a kid.
Okay.
And I guess like they would be called graphic novels now, but when I was an early reader, they were just comics. But I read a lot of Tintin, and a lot
You
of.
should explain what Tintin is, because I'm not sure everybody knows.
So Tintin is a comic done in when was it done? In the 80s or the 70s? And it's a French comic, but it's about a French reporter who always ends up in the middle of a mystery,
Right.
and has friends with these detective twins called the Thompsons that kind of look like Charlie Chaplin, and they like trip all over each other all the time. And it also has a best friend who's a ship captain. And then Tintin's best friend is a lot of friends, is a little dog named Snowy.
Yeah.
And this little, like a Westie or Yorkie, not a Yorkie, no, I think it's a Westie. But he and Snowy always end up in the middle of these adventures and uncover these huge, like smuggling rings or something like that. And they're always like amazing international adventures.
And Snowy plays a key role.
Huge role
Yeah.
in Tintin.
But
Yeah.
there wouldn't be busting up any kind of rings or mysteries without Snowy.
No, yeah.
So you were reading that.
I was reading that.
What else?
I was reading lots of, Henry Huggins chapter books. Wayside School is Falling Down. Just like really funny kids books. I read a lot of. And Choose Your Own Adventures was a really big thing for me and my friends. We tried to read them thinking like, oh, we got to read them in order, thinking that, because they're a series, you have to read them in order, but then quickly realized that they have nothing to do with the next one. So,
right.
because you choose your own adventure. So,
Right.
but yeah, those were really fun for us. And then a big thing for me when I was a kid was they started releasing collections of comic strips. So like Garfield had his own book. And then
Right.
Calvin and Hobbes
Right, that's right,
had the
yeah.
collections. So every year there would be a new Calvin and Hobbes collection, and that was like the most treasured possession in our house. Was we'd have to. For a while, we only had the one or two, and there's 3 brothers, so there was always a waiting list. But then eventually, they come out every year, and we were able to share them and just read them.
Did you think that's when you knew you wanted to be a cartoonist, you figured that's what you would do?
That was
Yeah.
my goal, was to be Bill Watterson, basically.
Yeah.
And
The Calvin and Hobbes guy?
Calvin and Hobbes guy, yeah. And I had a comic strip in the local paper when I was in high school. So
Wow.
I got to, but Calvin and Hobbes came out every day, and the local paper came out once a week. So I had a little less hectic deadline schedule.
Yeah. I'm curious about how whatever you were reading as a kid has kind of, worked its way into the way you think of the drawing and the plots that you're developing. Can we draw a line between that,
I mean,
do you think?
Tintin, I still look at Tintin for just examples for laying out action scenes
Really?
and pages. Like Hergé, the artist who did Tintin, is just a master at being able to just place his characters and word bubbles around the page that your eye just moves seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know, and they're huge pages. They're like tabloid size, so like 11 by 17 pages.
Wow.
And you just, start at the top left corner and work your way to the bottom right. But the way, if you actually follow it with draw a line through the characters and the word bubbles, there's this beautiful flow through everything that just kind of guides your eye through the page. That I've used that for my own pages when I do layouts to this day, kind of using his as there's a golden ratio template that I do. And I've also used it in teaching. I've gotten to teach a few, how to draw graphic novel classes, and this is something that I take to heart.
So this is what I was curious about. If you look at one of your pages and it's got a lot of detail on it, I am curious about, I know you're drawing this to make sure that we see it in a kind of order, right? That you can open the book and look at the drawings and pretty much know immediately, again, kind of what the personalities of the cats are, the way they're moving, some of the expressions on their faces.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part about graphic novels. Is it's not just what the characters are saying, but it's also the acting that the characters are doing, and that your brain is doing so much more when you read a graphic novel, because you look at the character, like their Pancake is smiling and her eyes are like these little rainbow shapes.
Let's describe. So I've got the book open to the middle, and they're kind of pretending like they're at mission control.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
They're just about to launch a rocket.
All right. So describe kind of what you did with this.
So we can see Pancake is climbing through the window into the rocket, and she has one hand up on the window, and then your eye kind of follows that hand down and looks at her smiling face inside this cardboard space helmet. And then this is when your brain's like, oh, she's smiling, she's excited. And then you follow her other arm down to where Waffles is poking a button. And then you're like, oh, he's pushing a button on a speaker, and then you see his face, and he has the biggest smile that a square-headed cat could have, with a big old cat tongue in there.
Right.
And you're like, oh, he is very excited. They're very excited for what's going to happen. So it's all just about it's not only just where your eye is looking at where the bubbles are on the page, but using these characters like Pancake's arm to guide you to Waffles' finger.
Yeah.
To then see Waffles' excited face.
Yeah.
And
I would know what was going on even if there weren't word bubbles in there. Is that the idea?
Definitely the idea. And one of the amazing things about graphic novels, my kids started reading graphic novels when they were 3, and they could not read them, the words, but they could visually understand everything. And so they could, I love reading graphic novels out loud with my kids, because I'm reading the word bubbles to them, but they're getting so much out of visually seeing this story played out step by step, panel by panel. And there are, take a picture book and then explode that out to include all the steps in between those key scenes in a picture book. Because in a picture book, you can have a frightened character on one page and then turn the page and then they're extremely happy.
Right.
But with a graphic novel, you get to see all those emotions in between, being frightened and how you overcome your fear, and then how you eventually become happy. And that graphic novel just gives you that room to play with those visuals.
I wanted to ask you about color, and I remember when we've talked before, we talked about this. I know this is all deliberate. And it sort of doesn't make sense, but it's very bright and vivid.
Yes.
So how do you think about
So, and this is, again, this is a prequel to CatStronauts. So CatStronauts, this series is done with like a very limited color palette, and it's all based off of like a vintage palette from the late 70s. So I have like avocado greens and these like orange creams and things like that. So when we started the Waffles and Pancake series, because it's younger, it's kittens, I took that same palette and then I just played with brightening up those same shades.
I mean, there's still avocado in here, and there's still some oranges and stuff, but
but it's all saturated and brightened up.
Yeah.
So that it still feels like it's part of the world of the CatStronauts, but then has that same fun and brilliance that you were talking about.
I mean, the other thing that I'm intrigued with, before I ask you to read from the book, is the way you draw movement, which I would think is not easy. I mean, if you look at the way art has progressed over the centuries, you see that initially people drew very, straight, stiff sculptures. Sculptors did that.
Yeah.
Artists did that.
Yep.
Movement is hard. I think we take it for granted. So I'm interested in how you think about it.
I mean, it goes back to when I was saying earlier that I draw a potato and I add these noodle arms to it. Like I really love playing with, especially if they're running or they're jumping or doing anything, you can play with these kind of like noodly appendages on these kittens and really kind of like over the top show this movement to them. And there's a lot of like cartoons like like Looney Tunes-y stuff in that, and showing that movement. But
even like in this panel, which cat is that?
Waffles.
Waffles has paws out and kind of curved. The claws are curved a little bit, I guess. Yeah. The tail is.
Oh, that's the fun
swings
part.
Up, yeah.
I always, and this happens to me a lot, is I'll have a page finished and I'll be like, I forgot the tails, and because the tails are so important to a cat because they provide so much balance.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And for that picture too, like I have to have that mindset about like, okay, if you're not just standing on a ladder, you're standing on a ladder with a tail, so you can actually change the shape of how Waffles can be a little more leaned over because he's got this whole tail acting as a counterbalance.
Yeah, I mean the tails tell a lot about what a cat is thinking.
Yeah,
don't they?
Yeah, they're little periscopes. That is what I'm thinking of because we can kind of use them to like. Yeah,
that's really cute. Okay, would you read from the book?
I would love to.
And maybe you'll describe where we are in the story.
Sure.
Okay,
we are starting with Chapter 2 of Waffles and Pancake, Failure to Lunch. So the kittens, to catch you up with what's happening in the story, the kittens just got back from a space shuttle launch that was canceled. And they arrive at their Gramps and Grammer's house that they're staying at. So the door opens to the house, and Gramps and Grammers come carrying in their coolers and their chairs. Waffles and Pancake take center stage. And Pancake, with her hands up, says, "What are we going to do now?" Waffles holds his stomach, and he looks down as it rumbles and says, "I'm hungry." And then out from the doorway near them, their mom cat pops out, and she says, "Hi, Hungry. I'm Mom Cat." They sit down on the couch, and Pancake says to her mom cat, "Mom cat, the launch was going to be the coolest thing ever." And Waffles interjects, "Cooler than an ice cream shop in Antarctica." And then mom cat reminds them, the launch wasn't canceled, it's delayed. Mom cat says, "We just need to be patient. Space is the most dangerous place a cat can go." And Pancake, very assured of herself, says, "If I were on that shuttle, I would want to make sure it was 100% safe." And then Mom Cat ruffles their fur and says, "You two are smart kittens. You'll think of something to do while we wait." So Pancake starts thinking right away. She says, "She's right, Waffles. It is dangerous to go to space." And she continues, "You have to be brave, adventurous, and a quick thinker." Waffles ponders this and says, I'm brave. I love adventure. And I just had a thought. And Pancake is so excited. She says, possum! And Waffles says, let's go to space. But then this thought is interrupted because their tummies go, and Pancake wonders, should we get a snack first? And Waffles wonders that. Well, Pancake zooms off and says, space waits for no cat. And Waffles says, wait up. Some cats have little legs. So they start rummaging through the drawers of the Gramps and Grammer's house and says, we need building supplies. And Waffles goes over the table and says, grab what you can. And they grab tape, yarn, paint, and cardboard. And Pancake is carrying so much stuff that you can't even see her except for her ears, and Waffles gets really concerned, and he says, Pancake, did you turn invisible? And Pancake says, lend me a paw and help. So the kittens run off, each carrying an armload of supplies, and said, let's build a rocket. And you get this big page spread of a big cloud of Pancake and Waffles saying, build, 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 tape, 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 glue, 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 cut, 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 build, 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 build. And finally, they're finished. They look at their finished product. Pancake is pleased, and she says, not a bad job. And Waffles says, it's just missing one thing. It needs a name. He takes a jar of paint and paints a name on the side. And Pancake's not sure about this name. She kind of cocks an eyebrow and says, that's what you named our rocket? Now you see the whole rocket made out of cardboard. And then in big blue paint on the sides, it says, Fluffles. And Waffles says, it's the friendly, light, utility, frequent flying launch experimental shuttle. Fluffles. Pancake says, well, next stop. And Waffles says, outer space.
Keep going.
Okay.
Sure.
So, next chapter.
Can't stop now,
okay,
Drew.
Great.
Keep going.
Here we go. Next chapter. Waffles immediately climbs into the rocket ship and says, prepare for launch. And Pancake is very concerned. She says, Waffles, Waffles, wait. And Waffles says, why? And Pancake says, we need helmets. And Waffles then remembers, oh yeah, we need helmets to breathe in space. But Pancake has got it covered. She says, don't worry, brother. And she pulls out these 2 cardboard boxes with holes cut in the side and little catsup logos. That's the NASA for cats, is catsup, drawn on the side. And she says, I made some. And Waffles gives Pancake the biggest bear hug ever that makes her eyeballs pop out of her head. And he says, you're the best, Pancake. And Pancake says, too tight, you're squishing me. So the 2 kittens climb into the rocket, and Waffles pushes a button for a drawn-on intercom drawn on the side of the cardboard rocket. And he says, ground control to Major Tomcat, ready for liftoff. And Pancake says, T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Waffles hits a big button, says, go. And he says, lift off. And the rocket just sits there. And the cats look very awkward inside. And then Waffles pokes his head out. Pancake climbs out. Waffles says, it's not going. And then Waffles gets a little grumpy. He says, why isn't it working? And Pancake reminds him, puts a hand on his, or paw on his shoulder and says, it's just a pretend rocket, Waffles. And Waffles realizes this, and he says, I know. Fluffles looks so much like a real rocket, though, that I thought it would actually fly. And then, conveniently, Gramps enters the room and says, you kittens having some rocket trouble? And Waffles says, yeah, Gramps, our rocket won't launch. And Gramps takes a look at this cardboard contraption that they built and says, looks like you built a good rocket. But remember, not everything works on the first try. He tapes up a piece of blank paper to the wall and says, even the space shuttle that's launching today had mini prototypes. What's a prototype? Asked Waffles. It sounds like a robot, says Pancake. I am a prototype. Take me to your leader. And here Pancake is doing like little robot moves. And Gramps turns around with a pencil in hand and says, it's not a robot. It's a model of something that isn't finished. Before they build a space shuttle, scientists test a prototype to make sure everything works. Then they use what they learned to make a space shuttle better. And while he's doing this, he's drawing different designs for different space shuttles and crossing them out when they're the wrong one. He finally draws the right space shuttle. And so Waffles says, so if we made another rocket, will it fly? Well, Waffles, first let's figure out why this rocket doesn't work, says Gramps. And Waffles and Pancake both have the same idea at the exact same time. They say, there are no engines! And Gramps is very proud of them and says, good work, kittens. That's a great place to start. Pancake comes over to her Gramps and says, Gramps, how do you build a rocket engine? And Gramps says, I don't know, but your Grammars does. And then in the next chapter, well, you'll just have to read the book.
That's right. You've got to get the book. Well done, Drew. Well done. Please welcome Amanda Grace.
Well, hey, everyone. I am so excited to be here and honored to participate in such a great event. Ironically, I have a song that when my son, who is now 17, he did the same thing as some of these stories in the book. And one day he put all his boxes together and he tried to build a rocket. And so I wrote him a song on my Trains, Cars, and a Trip to Mars song called Candy Planet. And I thought today, instead of saying Candy Planet, why don't we change out the words and say Kitty Planet? So this is how this goes. And you can sing along in the chorus. Take me to Kitty Planet, that's where I want to go, to the land of 1,000 lollipops and fields of candy snow. You say my teeth will rot and our dentist says no, but I can't help it. It's where I want to go. We'll get dentures and drink slushies when I get back home. I'll get dentures and drink slushies when I get back home. All right, put your arms out if you can do so safely and say I'll fly. Ready? And I'll fly. And I'll fly into the sky. Into the sky. Again. Say I'll fly. And I'll fly into the sky, into the sky. Take me to Candy Planet, that's where I want to go, to the land of 1,000 lollipops and fields of candy snow. I'm so sorry that it has come to this, but you are standing in the way of pure candy bliss. I'll build myself a big rocket that will reach the sky. Guys, ready to build? I'll build myself a big rocket that will reach the sky. All right, put your arms up nice and high and sing with me. Say I'll fly. Yes, I'll fly. say, take me to Kitty Planet. That's where I want to go, to the land of 1,000 lollipops and fields of candy snow. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go.
Boy, it's not every day that the musician changes the words to fit the. You're a big deal, man.
Amazing.
You're a big deal. Okay, you brought a guest, and I don't
did.
want to forget.
Yes,
Okay.
I brought a guest, and come on, wake up. Are you awake? Yeah, I'm awake. So, Kerri, I brought with me an actual CatStronaut. This is CatStronaut Waffles, and Waffles, you were sleeping behind the table. What was going on there? Oh, I was, hi, Kerri. I was,
Hey, Waffles. You're cute.
Oh, thank you. I have no clue what kind of a cat I am. I'm just a stripy cat.
Okay.
But I was just taking a little cat nap back there. I hope that was okay.
I saw you all curled up. You
That's-
looked happy.
That's me. I take a lot of naps because being a CatStronaut is kind of like being a firefighter. You never know when there's going to be an emergency in space that only you can solve.
Right.
So I'll, sleep when you can.
What's that around your neck, on your little tummy?
Yeah, so I'm wearing my flight suit right now. This is our launch suit, and I have this little computer, but I can't really reach the buttons because my arms are too stubby. But I have a computer on my suit that controls when we're in space. It controls all the oxygen and the heat and the cooling, and also it controls my snacks. So it's a very important piece of equipment.
Yeah, you're not kidding. You think anybody in the audience has a question for? Yeah, just yell it out. Go ahead.
Your other arm.
Oh.
The button.
Yeah, well, let me try that. Let me try pressing the button with my left arm. Yeah. Oh, I pushed one.
Yeah.
It's broken. Nope. Oh, it's my snack button, but there's no snacks left. I ate them all. Oh, bummer.
I thought there was a question right back there. Go ahead, yell it out.
What's your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? Well, I love tuna fish, and I love it so much. I eat it every day.
How about tuna salad?
Oh, I'll eat that too. Have you ever put olives in your tuna salad? Like tuna,
Right on.
mayo, a little
Ew.
oregano,
Olives.
some pepper, some
Ew.
green olives, spread it on some toast.
Ew.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it.
Somebody else have a right over there.
How many times have you gone to space?
How many times have you gone to space?
How many times have I gone to space? Well, okay, so let's count it out. Well, Drew, will you help me count it out? Yeah, Waffles, I will help you count it out. Okay, so we went to the moon, 1. We went to Mars by accident. No, that was on purpose. Oh, yeah, we went to Mars on purpose, but we crash landed by accident. So that's 2, Waffles. Okay, and then I went to the space station, and I almost got stranded in space. That's 3. Okay, and then we did a sneaky mission to the moon of Jupiter to help out my buddy Blanket. So that's 4, Waffles. Okay, and then in the 5th one, the 5th time I went to space, we went back to the space station. Okay, 5. And then last time I went to space, I was there helping out, testing out a space hotel for like a third party. What are they? A private space company. Yeah, a private space company. I was testing out a space hotel for a private space company. So that would be 6 times you've been to space. 6 times.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 times.
Testing out a space hotel. That's pretty wild.
That was a
Yeah. Lots of good cat naps up there in the
lots
space
of good
hotel?
cat naps in the space
Okay.
hotel.
All right. We have another question over there.
So I have a question to the author.
Oh.
As a parent, I read to my children every night as they grow, and I have veered away from graphic novels just because I didn't grow up with them. But listening to you read your graphic novel gave me a whole different sort of experience of how to do it because you weren't just reading. You were adding a lot more detail. Is that how you also read to your children when you read graphic novels?
Yeah, when we read graphics together, a lot of it is helping describe the panel. Or one thing that I love is like when especially like when those cats have their awkward expressions, you can ask those questions like, what is that cat feeling then? And it's a more interactive experience with your readers. And they might say something that you didn't even see on the page or something like that, which is why I throw in all those little background little things of like cats playing Mario on a computer, or in one of the books if a cat is like typing out, but all the computer reads is meow 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 meow. But just little things like that. But yeah, I find when you read graphics out loud, doing character voices is key, and then also just giving like little brief descriptions on what's happening. And even if they're following along with you, I keep a finger to show which panel I'm at too, so they can kind of see how you move through the page.
Other questions? Is that your daughter that has a question?
I think her name is
Good.
Marcy.
Marcy?
Waffles, what do you like to eat with your tuna?
Oh, what do you like to eat with your tuna?
Oh, well, it depends on how you cook it. So if we go back to my tuna salad with olives, the thing I love to eat that with is I make a little toast, and then I serve a little avocado on the side. And I always finish off my meals with a ginormous glass of ice cold milk.
She looks like she likes that.
Yeah.
Any other question? Yes, right over there.
Are you the one drawing the pictures, or is Pancake?
What a good question. Are you the one drawing the pictures, or is Pancake?
Oh, well, we both like to draw, so we actually share the ability. And when you work on comics, you have to draw the same. You don't just draw a page once. You have to draw it a few times. Right, Drew? That's right. There's a long process to drawing comics. So when I am drawing with Pancake, I'll like draw the page in pencil, and then she'll draw the page in marker or ink right on top of my pencils and kind of finish the artwork. And do you switch off then? Yeah. Halfway through the book, we switch off. So the book kind of looks, like one cat drew it. It's like a merging of styles, if you want to get technical about it. Well, let's get technical about it, Waffles.
So the answer to that was
they?
I think I missed
right?
it.
You both draw the books.
Oh, okay.
Waffles pencils
Right.
it, and Pancake inks it, and then sometimes they swap jobs.
We have another question over there.
What time was your favorite? Like,
What?
which trip was your favorite?
Which was your favorite trip into space?
Waffles, this is a big question for you. Mars! Well, you didn't even have to hesitate. No, Mars was the coolest thing, but you crash landed on Mars. I know. Imagine if you could crash land safely on Mars. Would you do it? I would do it. I would crash land safely on Mars.
Wait a minute, you would or you would?
I mean, I would, for sure.
What if you couldn't get back?
Oh,
What if you were stuck there? That could happen.
my wife is in the audience.
yeah.
My family's in the audience. This might be too truthful.
She
No.
might be cool with this or not. She does.
No,
Yeah.
that's a hard question. Yeah, that changed. I don't know. I'd have to have a return ticket. Yeah.
okay.
But I love that one where so like for me, the coolest thing about that was that, I mean, just besides the fact that like at any moment we could lose all of our 9 lives and be stranded in space forever, or be stranded on Mars. But it was cool to like all of a sudden it forced us to work with 3 other teams that we've never met before. So it really made a lot of friends really fast, and it was very exciting.
I see another hand up right back there. Yes. Yeah.
I have a couple questions.
Okay. That's fine.
Remember CatStronauts and World's Best Scientist?
Do I, or does Waffles?
Waffles.
Waffles, do you remember CatStronauts and the World's Best Scientist? Yeah, CatStronauts is the robot helper that my buddy Blanket made. And the World's Best Scientist is kind of my boss. He is in charge of all the science at CatSup. So he really is the world's best scientist. Oh, that's cool.
Another question is, do you really have 9 lives?
Waffles,
What a good question.
do you really have 9 lives, Waffles? Yep.
Find out.
Uh-oh. Waffles, which life are you
gosh.
on? I'm on number 1. Oh, he's still on his first life.
So he could crash land in Mars and be fine if he lost a
I
couple.
could crash land at
Yeah.
least 8 more times.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody else with a question? How about you? Do you have a question? No? Anybody in the front row have a question? No? All right. Boy, Waffles, I'll interview you anytime.
Oh,
you
that
are
sounds
so
great, Kerri.
impressive.
I have a great story about that time Pancake and I entered a tuna eating contest.
Yeah?
But I don't know if I can.
You can tell it.
Okay. One time we entered a tuna eating contest.
And what happened?
That was it. Waffles, that was a terrible story. Well, I didn't say it was a good story. I just said I had a story. Okay. Sorry, Kerri.
Waffles, thanks for making a guest appearance.
Oh, I'm happy
You're
to be
a
here.
star.
This was you are possum. That's cat for awesome. So.
Let's welcome Amanda Grace back to the stage, and thanks for all the great questions.
Well, I could get on a whole tangent about a job I just did for NASA about an intergalactic space station, but we are not going to go there because we know we have to stick to our programming. But I'm going to sing you a song that I wrote, and it's actually on this little blue book that your daughter is holding up. And it's a coloring book, lyric book, and CD in the back. And this song is about summer. Who is so excited about summer? Me too. And you know what the great thing about summer is, and being here with this talented author today, is that in the summer you can find time to write. You can find time to create. So I hope that you take some space in your childlike stage of wherever you are as an adult or a kiddo, and you do some creative writing or something that makes you happy. It goes like this. Do, 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 do. La-di-da, do, 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 do. La-di-da, do, 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 do. La-di-di-da. I'll be walking down the street with the sun beaming down on me. If I get tired, I'll lay down and sleep on a summer day. On a summer day. If it's hot, I'll stay in the shade. I could make my own lemonade. I could sell some and give the rest away on a summer day. On a summer day. We say everything's okay. We say everything's okay. We say everything's okay on a summer day. Hey. On a summer day. Hey. On a summer. And if it starts to rain, I will watch and see how summer's made. Now you can sing it with me a little bit. Say do, 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 do. Say la-di-da, do, 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 do. Say la-di-da, do, 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 do. Say la-di-di-da. And I know no matter what I do, I'll be great as long as I'm with you. Better than 1,000 shades of blue on a summer day. On a summer day. We We say everything's okay. We say everything's okay. We say everything's okay on a summer day. Hey, on a summer day. Hey, on a summer day. Hey, on a summer day.
Amanda, thank you. Thank you. Amanda Grace. And thank you, Drew,
Thank you.
for a fun afternoon. Thanks for all the questions.